Welcome into Jungle Tales, a Pirate Baseball podcast. We appreciate everyone tuning in. On deck for East Carolina this weekend is the 23rd annual Keith LeClair Classic. That event will, of course, feature the Western Carolina Catamounts, Rutgers Scarlet Knights, and Troy Trojans. But right now, to preview what will be the Sunday game for East Carolina, I'm very excited to be joined by the fourth-year head coach, also at his alma mater, and that is Alan Beck of Western Carolina. Coach, we appreciate your time today.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks for having me on.
So before we dive into the here and now, we were discussing off air, just all the intertwinings and just the connectivity of these programs. Of course, Coach LeClair, a player at Western Carolina, a very successful head coach there prior to taking the East Carolina job. You played for Coach Todd Raleigh, who was, of course, one of Keith's assistants at ECU, and then Coach Hennon, who had so much success not only there at Western Carolina, but at Georgia Southern, and Jack Leggett at Clemson. Just so many guys that are connected involving ECU and WCU.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I mean, the reach at Western Carolina, it's unbelievable in the baseball community. And I got to, I know when they said a couple of the guys that played for Keith, when he took over, he was so young that they thought he was a player. So he'd have him rolling through there and, just fresh out of playing, basically. I mean, he got to start when I don't know how old he was, but it wasn't old when he was up here. And some of the best teams in Western history he coached.
Yeah, definitely. Coach LeClair, just 25 years old, remarkable when he got that job, replacing Jack Leggett, of course, his coach. And, if I take a look at things, there's just down through the years, that program continued to have success. Todd Raleigh, as I mentioned, was your head coach there. And then since then, Coach Miranda had success. And now, talk about what it means to you to have that opportunity to return to your alma mater, and elaborate on that a little more.
I mean, it means everything just to be named with some of the coaches that have been here before. It's a great deal of responsibility. I mean, I try to get after it every day and make sure our guys carry themselves and understand what the Western Carolina baseball community is all about. But I've been fortunate, I've got to know Coach Leggett better. He was always really good to me when we played, Clemson and when I was an assistant. But getting to know him better, he came up and actually introduced Coach Raleigh this past year. He got into our Hall of Fame, and got to know Keith a little bit. He inspired me, even though he probably didn't even know. I know we were struggling my senior year, and I wasn't in a good place. And my head coach, Coach Raleigh, he said he was talking to Coach LeClair and telling him, "Hey, we're close. We need to figure it out. What do you have?" And he, I guess, typed my name out in the computer that he was working on. It's like basically, "Hey, you need to get, his head out of his butt and get him playing, and then you guys will be all right." So he told me that story, and meant a lot to me. And then having spent time with Coach Hennon down at Georgia Southern for 7 years. He still had his devotions and his, every Thursday we'd do Bible study and he'd have the devotions that he'd send out to all his former players that he'd reference and share with us. And just what a special man.
Yeah, he really was. And before I pitch it to JR, like you mentioned, that's awesome that you bring that up regarding the Bible studies, because Keith LeClair, when he was at East Carolina, distributed purple Bibles to the players that wanted them. And so, now you have Cliff Godwin, one of his former players, guiding the Pirate program, so much success. And we'll talk about the here and now in just a few moments. But, what are some of your memories of playing at what was then Harrington Field? And then I know you've also coached at Clark LeClair Stadium.
Yeah, just environment is the first thing that comes to mind. I mean, passionate fan base, in your face a little bit in a great way. That's what everybody signs up for, and it's more fun. It means more when people are passionate about the places that they're at. So I got to play down there twice. I played in 2001 and 2003, my sophomore and senior years. wish we had had more success, but it kind of got us ready for the season and against great teams. It wasn't just okay teams. I mean, there were some teams in that, and I knew a lot of those guys having played with them in travel ball or high school, that kind of thing. It wasn't really showcased back then, but in different settings. And then, having been a part of 2 of the LeClair Classics, in 2010, we actually faced off against ECU on Sunday, both 2-0, and they threw the pitching coach at UNCG now, who threw awesome. He threw like 7 2/3 against us. He ended up being a big leaguer with the Cardinals, and we threw a guy named Vance Chavis from Scotland County, and it was neck and neck until about the 5th or 6th inning. Really good ball game, and obviously the fans were into it, so it was a lot of fun. But excited to bring our team down so they can kind of see what it's all about.
Yeah, that of course that you referenced there is Seth Manus, and Seth Manus, one of the all-time greats for ECU, no doubt. The program's all-time wins leader, if I'm not mistaken. But let me pitch it to JR before we start talking about the 2026 Catamounts. So, JR, what do you have for Coach regarding these historical topics?
Well, just as far as the Western and Carolina and ECU connection, this would be the 6th time that the Catamounts have been in the Keith LeClair Classic, more than any other team in the nation. And like Coach said, I mean, every one of these games has been close. We've had 3 one-run games, a 2-run game, and then, we'd had that 12-6 game, I think, in 19. But they're always great games, and it's always a treat to, have them come to the stadium. And, I'm looking forward to it this season. But what I wanted to talk about is, I think, Coach, your team has found something, or they may have turned the corner. In your last 3 games, you have a .373 batting average, 38 hits, 53 total bases, 3 doubles in every game. That's crazy. 0 errors, 3 for 3 stolen bases. And, in your last game, you played 14 players had an at-bat, or had a plate appearance, I should say. And every one of them reached base safely.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and you had 3 double plays. So I don't know what. It just seems like it's really starting to click for you. Do you feel like that's the case?
Yeah, we've played good at home. We've only been on, it's different on the road, but we definitely played good. I mean, this past weekend we had a really good Bowling Green team in. They're going to win a lot of ball games, and it felt like a conference matchup, like it was a rival, and that's always good to play in. But no, just still trying to figure things out. It's early, I mean, it's you want to play good baseball, and that's what I want to do this weekend with our team. I just want to, go down there and compete and play to win, and see what happens. So I'm excited. I mean, the field that they've coached and they put together, I mean, it's going to be really good competition. So we're going to have to do a lot more of that this weekend if we want to have any success.
Coach, let's hone in on your pitching staff with your rotation. Davis Wright, a veteran, southpaw, and then Carter Burnett, Evan Myers. Tell us about those 3.
Yeah, no, they've given us a chance every time out. I mean, Davis he's our horse. I mean, he led the conference last year in strikeouts. It's a very good left-handed pitcher, a competitor. He's not going to give in. He gets into some situation, he's going to compete his way out of it. So I'm excited to see. I mean, he had a really good start against Bowling Green last Friday, and so I'm excited to see him against Troy Friday morning. But just 3+ pitches and competitive. Carter Burnett's a sophomore. He's turned into a monster kid. I mean, he's gained a lot of weight. He's improved tremendously since he got here. And he kind of earned that weekend spot at the end of last year down the stretch run. And he earned it this year because we had some other guys he was competing against. But excited to watch him against Rutgers. And then we'll run out of freshmen down there, Evan Myers, who's as talented as anybody we've had here or, in the Southeast. He's got a great arm. He's got good presence about himself, especially being a younger kid, and our guys believe in him. So, excited to see him in that environment.
I noticed that you've used 15 plus relievers. You did have, I believe it's John Lobbs with 3 appearances. He's the only one that has more than 2 appearances. And guys like Mason Snyder and James Fordham, their numbers in those couple appearances that they've had really jumped out to me. So if you would elaborate on your bullpen and some of those top arms that we'll see this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, you start with those two, Mason Snyder and James Fordham, and they're both South Georgia kids, competitive. They've been outstanding for us anytime that they get the ball. Completely different arms, but throw strikes, good off speed, and just they do a really good job. Lobbs is a sophomore. Those guys were both transfers. They were Fordham came from Georgia State Southwestern, and then Snyder came from Berry College, and then Lobbs was a sophomore. Kimbrell's thrown really well for us. Those guys, true sophomores, they just continue to get better. Our pitching coach has done a really good job with our whole staff. I think that's something that we haven't always had the luxury of is having some depth and having a couple different guys that can do it. And then Owen Austin's only had 2 appearances, but if we have a situation where we can potentially get a save or go for it, he's a left-handed pitcher that is very athletic, very competitive young man, and he'd get the ball for us in that situation. So they've all thrown good. We're still trying to, they're still working it out as far as who is in what role and all that. But I feel really confident anytime any of those guys get into the game.
A moment ago, Johnny just mentioned some of your run production and offensive statistics over the last 3 or 4 games, but on the season, and guys like Noah Corliss, Wyatt Stanley, Jackson Lyda hitting well above 400 and slugging quite a bit as well. So if you would tell us about those 3 gentlemen and then other top bats and kind of how you stack up positionally.
Yeah, no, those guys have gotten off to a great start. Noah is the first weekend we played. He walked off both Friday and the 3rd game of the series with walk-off. One was a homer, one was a walk-off double that just missed going out, but hit our monster in left field. But just, a catcher, it's not just offense with him. I mean, he can really catch and throw. He's got a rocket launcher behind the dish, does a great job handling our pitching staff. Stanley, he was an all-conference player last year for us as a redshirt freshman, advanced bat. He can, he's got the unique skill of having power, but also being able to hit, and definitely love his presence in the middle of the lineup, being left-handed. And Lyda, he's a competitor. He's a guy that wants to be in there. He's had some big hits. He keeps getting better. I feel like every time he's in the box, he keeps getting better, giving us better at bats. I'd mentioned Jalen Jones in with him, who's played center field while our center fielder's been out. One of our most athletic kids, a guy that played every day last year. He's tweaked his oblique and won't be available this weekend either. But Elijah Smith, when we get him back, it'll stretch the lineup out a little bit more for sure. And our 2 best, our leaders, Mason Holton and Trent Turner on the left side of the infield. Both haven't got off to. Mason's picked it up a little bit. We'll lead him off this weekend, and but Trent hasn't got off to the start that. He's got Player of the Year potential, first team all conference type ability. So just excited to see those guys moving forward and us trying to continue to figure the lineup out as we keep going.
What have you seen from your team defensively thus far?
Well, I like those 3 double plays you mentioned earlier, but I think that outside of one game, we let a Tuesday game get away from us first time on the road, but we make the other offense earn it. We've been pretty good about our pitchers fielding their positions, our infielders doing a good job moving around, rotating a little bit. Little things, throwing strikes, just keeping the double play in order is something that we haven't always done well here. So just excited to see them get after it, leave their feet, make some plays. It has the makings of a really solid team in every phase.
Hey, Bob, I had one question. Going back to Noah Corliss and the catcher. I noticed that you gave him the second game off of the doubleheader, and then he only played I think a few innings in the last game against Akron. And it seems like you have two capable catchers behind him. I mean, I think that's important because we had a catcher last year that had to catch. He started 61 of 63 games and played in all 63. So,
yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about your catchers? What you got behind Noah?
Yeah, no, we have a redshirt senior in Cam Murray, who's also one of our team captains. It started 2 games. We've won both the games that he's caught in. He does a really good job. He's got a really good presence about himself, pumping the pitchers up, and is capable offensively too. Had a big double on Sunday, and he hasn't swung the bat as well as he's capable either. But, he's backing him up. And then we got a freshman that I think is as talented as anybody in the state. I thought he was one of the best catchers in the state last year, Carlos Diaz. Unbelievable attitude. We got him in there a little bit for Noah yesterday, where he got some action, got his first knock, drove in 2. So that was good for him. But, all 3 of those guys, we have another guy behind him, Turner Gross. It's also a good backstop, but you got to have a couple. And that's why Noah wants to catch every game, every pitch. If it was up to him, he'd pencil himself in there. But, it's a long season, and we want him to be at his best toward the end too. But as it matters more, Noah's kind of the complete package as far as being able to hit with power and be a really good defensive catcher. So he could end up catching a lot for us down the stretch. But right now it's one of those things where you got to share the wealth a little bit, keep everybody healthy, and still developing players.
Coach, regarding Rutgers and Troy, the other 2 teams in this event, obviously Troy is a team I personally really felt like they got snubbed a year ago, that they should have been in the road to Omaha as an at-large selection. I think they didn't lose the series until the final series of the season or something like that. And then Rutgers, they've been putting up some pretty impressive offensive numbers early in the year, and I know they took 3 out of 4 from College of Charleston, who's always pretty strong.
Yeah, no, I'm a little more familiar with Troy, just having been in the Sun Belt, and what Skylar Mead's done there has been very good. I mean, they have talent. They know how to play the game, pitching, hitting, power, speed. They do a really good job. So that'll be a great test. And then, like you said, with Rutgers, we've taken 3 or 4 from College of Charleston, then playing Virginia Tech well, from what I remember. They're going to be very difficult. I mean, I think, all 3 teams that we're going to have the opportunity to face is going to kind of see where we're at more on a national level. To see what kind of team that we have. So it'll be a really good test, but a great field, and you find out what you're made of playing against great people.
Yeah, no doubt. And this event has it year in, year out. And certainly wish you and your team the best in 2026. Safe travels to Greenville. And if you would like to share your social media information, tell folks how they can follow you on X, Instagram, etc., then please do so.
Yeah, I think it's just at Coach Beck. I just have Twitter. I don't know how to hardly work any of it.
Yeah.
But find myself wasting a lot of time on it. But it's a good way to keep up with college baseball. But I think it's at Coach Beck. But yeah, just looking forward to bringing our guys down and and letting them play in the environment that they'll have with all 3 games, but especially in the environment you guys will have Sunday. We'll be better because of it. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
no doubt. Again, appreciate the time, and we look forward to catching up with you down the road when the Pirates and Catamounts square off.
All right. That sounds good. Thanks, Bubba. Thanks, Johnny.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it. Good luck.
Pirate Nation, that is Alan Beck, the 4th-year head baseball coach of the Western Carolina Catamounts. We appreciate his time. Be sure to follow us on social media on X and Instagram. We can be found at Jungle Tales Pod. Until next time, and as always, go Pirates.